schools, take them out of this military. It shouldn't be.
Okay, quick.
Yes, go ahead, brother.
Commercial break.
Yeah.
To 1680 WOKB AM, Winter Garden, Florida.
You're listening to the Talk It Up radio show. Join us for the next hour for a fun-packed, educational, and inspirational moment.
You know that the ice cream scoop has the power to make a child smile, and that by slowing us down, the traffic light can keep us going. You know that the golf tee brings friends together, that the mailbox keeps them connected. You know that the cataract laser helps you look to the future, while the pacemaker ensures that there's a future to be seen. You know that the lawnmower, the clothes dryer, and the elevator make life easier, that the blood bank makes life possible. You know that these things we count on every day started as ideas. But did you know all these ideas came from the minds of African Americans? Support minority education today so we don't miss out on the next big idea tomorrow. The United Negro College Fund, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Please visit uncf.org or call 1-800-332-UNCF. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Carlene Davis, and you're listening to Noel and Beverly Martin. Now, don't you touch that dial. We're praising God all the time. Yeah, Jesus says so.
And welcome back to the Talk Up Radio Show. In our studios, we have my wife and also the master of the show without that voice. Anyway, we're on the topic today of the effects of crime on the poor neighborhood, whatever country it is and whatever. And in our studios, we have Mr. LanceScurv of the LanceScurv YouTube show and Mr. Desmond Reed. Mr. Reed, we're going to touch on you now, give Lance a break to catch his breath, and get your input on it. Also, if you want to chime in, the number to call is 407-294, that's my home number, 407-894-1680, and that's the call letters for this station, WKB 1680. Again, the number to call is 407-894-1680, and if you're calling from outside the country, you can maybe go send us a message on our Facebook page, and which I'm monitoring. So, Mr. Reed, I wanted to hear your viewpoint also on this topic. We never did a mic check on you either. So
and I don't have him on camera either.
No, he's on camera. You have to just hit him. Maybe he's not. I'll come over. Just hit his camera. Maybe he's not lined up. All right.
Oh, there you go.
All right. And also, we are streaming live somewhere, but it's not showing up on either of our YouTube channels. We are streaming live on Facebook, but YouTube says we are live on my system, and I changed the code to a different one, and it still doesn't show up on YouTube. So for whatever reason, thank God Lance is streaming on his own, so we can get a copy of that for our YouTube channel. But it says we're streaming, but it's not showing up. So anyway, if you're looking for us on YouTube, for those people in England and stuff, try and go to our Facebook page, Talk Up Radio Show, and you'll see us stream. And then we will have it on YouTube afterwards. So, Desmond, glad to have you, sir. I know you had to close your shop early to come down here and hang out with us.
No, I close on time.
Oh, you close on time? Okay, all right. And I want to mention that Mr. Reed, Desmond Reed, has Deer Books. It's one of the few black business bookstores left in the country. And he's doing an awesome job. You know, it's a plethora of books up there. Give them the address, Mr. Reed.
That's 245 North U.S. Highway 1792 in Longwood, Florida.
Okay.
And he's also online, so if you're not close by, you can get books online. Is that correct?
That's right. Darebooks.com.
And it's pretty easy.
DAREBOOKS.com.
All right. So I want to hear a little from Desmond also, and then we'll continue in the discussion.
Well, you know, there's basically nothing that I can say. Lance has said it all. Okay. But to go back a little bit, you know, Caucasian folks have a lot of practice with ghettos and keeping people enslaved and what have you. If we look at the history of Europe, we go back to the feudal system, and most of the people were slaves. And throughout the years, even in terms of immigration to America, you'll see that at one point the Irish were the people who were on the bottom. You know, there have always been ghettos and enslave us. And the other thing is, if we're allowed to rise, they won't have us as the underclass, the whipping boy, so to speak. And so we can understand why they do all of that. My problem, my challenge is not why they do that. My challenge is how do we get our people out of that situation. And at times I'm a little disappointed, discouraged, what have you, because we don't seem to grasp all of the entities that are working against our progress and our survival. They have done a good job of brainwashing us. They have done a good job of making us feel that, hey, we're your friends, you know, so don't worry about that. But I'll tell you something I just found out the other day, that a lot of these missionaries and other people have been going like to South Africa when the government was overthrown, and offered their services to unsuspecting black people and been injecting them with AIDS. Okay? Wow. The same thing in Israel. The Israeli government have been injecting the falashas with a drug to prevent them from having children.
No.
Because they don't want...
Israel?
Yes, sir. Well, you know, you shouldn't be surprised. Israel supported South Africa's apartheid for all those years. Okay? So I'm not against Jews, but I'm against Israel. Okay? Right. It's not the people. It's the government. It's the prime minister and the leaders of Israel who have been racist bastards and still are. Okay? So racism is ingrained and it's been taught to other people. Okay? The East Indians, for example, even though a lot of them have the same color skin as we do, a lot of folks may see the lighter skinned Indians coming here, but there are a lot of Indians, millions and millions of Indians in India who are my complexion and darker. Okay? Because we're everywhere.
My own family, they have dark and light.
And so, you know, they have a lot of years, hundreds of years of practice in keeping people in their places and subservient. But, you know, we are the ones who have to create our own liberation, as we always have. Now, I'm not going to say in the past, you know, helping us to liberate from slavery, there have not been a lot of good white folks. But maybe 1%, maybe 10%. But we have to be our own liberators. And we have to understand that, you know, I kind of disagree in terms of our being able to liberate ourselves from the education system right now. It's going to take time. Yes. But in the meantime, we have to train our children at home. We have to set up classes, independent classes for them. So when they get home from school learning all this crap, all misinformation, we have to teach them. And so that's what we can do immediately. You know, it's going to take tens of years, probably a couple hundred years for us to totally organize ourselves and liberate ourselves. But in the meantime, we have to give our children supplementary education. And we have to get back to the extended family. Okay?
Okay, so the general consensus then is the education system has not benefited our race, so to speak.
No, and because
without education, the people perish.
Yeah, well, you know, it's not by accident that it's history. It's his story. It is not our story.
Okay.
And so we have to tell our children our story. And we have to tell them about all the great people who, by the way, a lot of them have been identified by white folks as their own because they don't want to tell the truth. They don't want people to know that a lot of these historical stalwarts are people of color and black people, okay? Shakespeare was a man of color. You know, we can go on and on and on. The first 16 popes were black.
Really?
Okay? Yeah.
Really, really.
And so we have a tradition of leadership. We're the ones who brought enlightenment into Europe.
Okay.
Okay? Took them from the Dark Ages to the Middle Ages.
Right.
And we're the ones who educated and trained them. And then they stole the evidence of all of that, you know, from Egypt and elsewhere. Okay, so we have to tell our people that, and we have to tell the other people that we know. Okay, so we have to go ahead and do what is necessary. But you know, we have been talking for a long time. The question is, how do we act?
Right.
You know, a few people are acting. Okay, there's he is acting.
How we doing today?
The people in the room are people who are busy trying to change. But what else can we do?
Yes.
Who else can we reach? Because, you know, this is urgent. This is a crisis.
That's true. That's true. I think we have a caller, do we?
Yes, hello?
Yes, go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
God bless everybody. How y'all doing in there?
We're very well.
Hey,
Hope
this
you
sound
are
like
too.
Derek.
Dexter.
Dexter.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank
How
you for
y'all
calling
doing?
in, man. Are we
Doing
doing good?
all right.
Thanks.
All right, all right. Been a little minute. But, you know, the thing, when he's talking about the teaching and stuff, you know, and where we get our information from, you know, where do we get this teaching from? You know, where does this teaching derive from that we need to be separated as in operating and functioning differently from what we've already been taught? You know, and this is my question, you know, where do we get this teaching, and what type of teaching, what exactly is this teaching that we need that can bring us together and unite as one and function as a successful nation
Right.
should?
Does anybody want to answer that question? Dexter?
Well, listen.
I'm just going to listen now.
Okay, good. Thank you for calling,
Thanks for calling,
Dexter.
Dexter. Bye.
Yeah.
All right, God bless.
The main thing is we have to teach our children about our history, the true history of our people. Okay? And a lot of people say they don't want to hear about slavery. But that's part of our evolution.
Painful history.
And we have to also make it plain to those people that slaves were not sitting back and just accepting slavery. There were thousands of uprisings, okay? There were lots of people killed on both sides with slaves trying to free themselves. So we have to tell that story. And we have to tell the story, as I said before, about people who have, black people who have been doing all these things all over the century, okay? If you look at even the history of the United States, the first president of the United States was black. Okay, the first president of the United States was a black man. You know, they talk about the ride of Paul Revere. The man who was riding with him was a black man. They never mentioned his name. So we have to teach our people all of these things. We have to teach about the greatness. We have to teach them about the fact that when white folks were living in caves in the Caucasus Mountains, we were ruling the world.
So hence the word Caucasian.
Yeah, that's how the name came.
So what I'm hearing then is the books that we have or being used to teach our children doesn't really represent the true
Who we are.
picture of
Because
history
it's his story.
and right. So how, I mean, okay, you're an author and you also do some writing too, Lance.
Yes.
So I mean, it takes one match to burn a whole forest down. So it only takes a spark. what can we plant in the minds of our listeners today?
We have to get back to books. We have to get back to the relationship. Like we have this phone, we always need to have a book in our hand.
Right.
There was a time in our history, up until recent, maybe not too recent, depending on your chronological age, that we always, if we were commuting on a subway, a train, a bus, a boat, a plane, we always had a book. And why do I say that?
Right.
It's been proven, and I can't bring up the statistics because I didn't even know I would have this question posed to me right now.
Sorry.
But trust me, no, and people who hear this will echo that.
Yeah.
That when you read something off of the computer, electronic with the blue light, you don't absorb it as much. But when you have a book that you can touch with no radiation, with no blue light, you absorb it better. To read by candlelight is better than looking at a computer screen.
I
You
did not
absorb
know
it
that.
better.
Yeah.
Now here's another thing that most people are not even aware of, that the internet is only as good as what's uploaded. And with the algorithms, with Google and YouTube, they can control
And
what
Facebook.
goes out. And Facebook, yes, definitely. They can control what goes out.
Right.
You can have the best video out there, but if they manipulate it and push you to the side and it's not seen,
Right.
what good is it? You can have information out there.
So what I notice is I'll see something on the internet. I won't call no names. And then one article or one item of news, which is major wildfire news, when that comes out and I search for the article, which would the bulk or whatever, it's gone.
Not
Exactly.
available at this time.
It's not gone.
Exactly.
It's gone.
Yes.
Or delete it.
Yeah.
Straight delete it.
The website will, so we have gotten lazy to depend on the information that the way it's being disseminated now. And that is like on our cell phones and stuff. So we're saying that, and I agree with you, because when I read a book, I actually absorb more.
Exactly.
Because I'm not being bombarded by the advertisements on the side, and I'm not waiting on the screen to scroll up. I just turn a page, and the eyes following the words on the page, it goes into my brain better.
And you can turn it back,
and go back
right away
Right.
if you miss
Right.
something. You just
right.
turn it right back.
Also, I learned something a couple of weeks ago from a friend of mine who's actually white, and he said that one of the things that they did in the old days when movies were on reels, they would put one frame
Coca-Cola.
of any article, any item in there, whether it's a brainwashing thing. I did not know that, and then when they were caught, they said, "Oh, sorry." But during that time, even though the eyes and
many
the
people
brain,
see.
because the brain moves faster than we think. The longest dream is 7 seconds when we think it's like 2 years, but the brain is able to catch that one frame of film that they have spliced in, whether it's cigarette or whatever, and it's in the brain. I did not know that. So I don't know what else they're doing right now to brainwash us without our knowing when we're watching those frames on the computer.
Well, they're
But I don't want to
constantly
digress
doing
too
that.
much. But go ahead.
They're constantly doing that because they have to sell their products.
Right.
Okay, so they're always doing it, and they're
Right.
always inserting things that they want you to know. So you'll find that the conservative people, you'll be reading something from someone who is a liberal, and all of a sudden you look up and there's some conservative item or ad right there. Okay, so they manipulate everything. So the thing is to understand what they're doing and to help train your children not to fall for the hokey doke. But they have to know in order to know what not to look at and what not to pay attention to.
Well, what I want to take away from this show is to let our brothers and sisters in the poor neighborhoods know, though, that the more you rob and steal and rape in your neighborhood is the negative effect it's going to have on the value of your property, for example. The value of the property also has a negative, an effect, a direct effect on the schools, how much the schools make. And that's one of the things I wanted to make clear. I understand all of the brainwashing and stuff that's going on, and it's going to take us a longer than any of us lifetime to correct that crime that's being committed on this race. but we still want to make it known that somehow you have. I mean, when I'm walking down the street and I say hi to a black man, the man is angry. You know, they say, what's wrong with this fool sometimes? Some guy asks me, what drug am I on? I just go up and start
Were you
talking
saying
to them.
hi?
Yeah, just by me saying hi, because I was happy, you know. I said,
They're used to being ignored.
right.
Well,
know,
you were high on life.
I am,
Yes, yes.
I'm used to walking around and just being real happy. But so sometimes it's a negative. They see it like you're laughing at them or whatever. But we need to let them understand it's a poor neighborhood, and we do have different races too that are in the neighborhood. But the crime that is being committed, we need to somehow bring that awareness to them that this is not a good thing for your community. I mean, right at the Silver Star and Powers, Silver Star and Pine Hills, there are 2 gas stations. The price of gas here is $2.59 a gallon, okay? Regular. At the 2 stations in the poor black neighborhood, and you drive up to Ocoee or whatever, it's $2.29.
That's by design.
You know,
But
so we you see what I'm saying? So, and they're telling, because the crime, we have to have more security and all kind of nonsense. It's really, really criminal what's going on.
Okay, here's another thing. You know, we complain about the crime, but it's like an animal feeding up on its young, feeding on itself. Because what happens is, because of the racism, because of the lack of opportunity that black people and poor people any place have, lack of opportunity, they're the ones who are tempted and sometimes forced to commit a crime in order to feed their family. A lot of people do it not because of that, but some people because of that. And the other thing is, when you go to prison and you come out, there's no rehabilitation taking place. Nobody will hire you. How do you feed yourself? How do you feed your family? So the result is recidivism, because people recommit crime in order to feed themselves, to clothe themselves, to do whatever. And it kind of like a virus that feeds on itself.
Yes.
So what we need to do is, in these communities, and there are some communities that have it, you need to have rehabilitation centers. You have to have people who are retraining these folks, who are helping them find jobs, you know, who are getting them back to their families.
Yes.
Okay? There are a lot of state help that are given to people, to black women with children, but the fathers have to be out of the house. They can't be there. Compare that with what happens in New York City, for example.
Wait, go back to that. You're saying that if the father's in the house, they don't get the help?
No.
So it encourages the family to be
split up.
Right.
Okay? I don't know if they've changed it in New York, but I know that's what happened in New York City. Now, compare that to, and I had a sister-in-law who worked for the welfare system, and she was put to work in a Jewish neighborhood. And she said one day a rabbi came in with a briefcase full of cases. Now, the black Latino families, the individual person has to appear. And the welfare folks have to go to the house and investigate, okay, to make sure that they qualify. But in the case of what my sister-in-law told me, she said one day she was there and a rabbi showed up, you know, she was a caseworker, and he had a briefcase full of papers,
documents,
and he wanted her to take care of all of this. So she said, no, these women have to come in, what have you. So he says, no, I want to see your supervisor. So the supervisor came, and she was explaining what the regulations were. And the supervisor said, well, you know, in this part of town, we do it differently. So the woman didn't have to come in. The husbands are living in the house. they're working off the books. They were, okay? I'm not saying they are now because, you know, I'm not accusing anyone of doing it now. But during that time, the husbands had, from what I gather, I can't prove it, but they had jobs working off the books. Yeah. The other thing that happened is that the synagogue, or some synagogues, owned the houses.
Wow.
And they were tax exempt. And they were getting the rent from the city to pay for these people who didn't get the investigation that the blacks and Latinos got. So the system is rigged anyway. But like I said, the problem is that once these people get into trouble, they're basically doomed because they don't have a chance.
Right. And Lance and I had a discussion a couple of days ago, and one of the things I was telling them is I was alarmed to find out that when some of our young minority kids go to their counselors for advice, and they say what career they want to do, or they said, oh, your kind can't do such and such.
That wouldn't be a good fit for you.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good fit for you. And it's still going
Our
on.
own daughter heard that.
Yeah.
Our daughter, she's still in school, and she heard that too. It's not a good fit for you. And she said, well, heck no. I mean, she's really spunky, but you know. But how many children have had that done to them and they took it for gospel?
Yes.
I have the same experience with one of my sons. He told the counselor he wanted to be an engineer. And she said, well, you know, what you ought to do is try to be an auto mechanic. Okay?
That has to be
he is a colonel in the Marines, by the way.
Thank God.
Okay?
Yes.
All right?
I guess thanks to you, too.
Well,
for influencing him.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think I influenced them a lot. They didn't think so when they were growing up. But, so you know, these things happen.
Yes. You can hear that there is a problem here. I don't think we're rewriting or reinventing. A lot of people know about it, but we really have to really let it known. Maybe billboards, whatever. But our generation will not see it. Maybe even our kids may not see it. But something has to get started, Lance.
It took a while to get here. It's going to take a while to get back.
Yeah.
And it may not happen all the way in our lifetime. We also have to understand that many of us are so intoxicated with this American dream and not defining it on our own from within. And it has nothing to do with American, because I don't deal in stolen goods as far as the system is concerned. But we're going to have to get back to what we were. All of us are not going to make it. All of us are not going to make it. It's like triage. When you have a man who has his brains blown out, the ambulance shows up, or his leg is twitching, or he's on his way out. You have another man who has a wooden stake through his leg, or he's screaming for help, but he'll live. But you have a man on the other side who's having a heart attack. And that man who's having a heart attack, he must be dealt with. So you have to understand, we can't help the one who's on his way out, who had his brains blown out, because he's gone. So triage, we got to put it where it's needed the most. Okay. And so what we got to do is reach out to on the ground. If you're a man and you see a family struggling and there's no masculine energy there, it's a single mother with a bunch of kids, don't go to her in the spirit of lust. Go and give your masculine energy.
Yes.
See, because you see, the thing is,
that's a good one. Say that again.
Yes,
that's
yes.
so
Share your on a righteous level, not with anything or any strings attached or hidden motivations and secret agendas. Now, if you as an adult and you something goes on, but the initial thing should not be that. You see, the slave master never got mad when the female slaves got impregnated. It's more slaves for him to do work. So this state right now is in the same positioning to the black family as it was back then. You come out of prison, you hang around your few little girlfriends and get them pregnant, and it's a matter of time by the lifestyle that you're living that you get locked up and put away. The state runs the home now. So like a puppet with a hidden hand behind it, we're jumping. And they don't mind the so-called sisters that many refer to as hoochies, and they over-sexualize us in the media. It keeps us going, and we stay in our lower desires. We're going to have to know discipline and to pull away. But we have to understand, like triage, not all of us are going to make it.
Yeah,
You see what I mean? So those who will make it, let's break out of here. Every so-called African, stolen African, and some of the worst human trafficking, right?
Right.
I'm going to walk with that, brother, because you taught me,
Yeah.
you know, in recorded history,
Yeah.
didn't really want to leave the slave master. They settled for what they had there. They were made to not believe in themselves.
Yes.
We've got to see ourselves also as citizens of the world. Stop worrying about Kanye West and his wife and Jay-Z and what they're doing. They're puppets of someone
All
else
these
in a
reality
system.
shows.
Another family which I don't want to call the name because I don't know why they're on the air.
Okay.
Folks, we're almost out of time.
Okay.
Coming up next is the Contraband Show, which is also known as the Jamming Vibes Radio. He's in the studios. One thing I want to say, the thought just crossed my mind. I want to give a shout out to Miss Sandra Fatmi. She's an activist in our community. She is involved in the education system with Evans High School.
She's making a big
She's
difference.
making a big difference. We're proud to announce that 93 or 95% of the kids graduated from Evans this last graduation.
Hooray.
And when they started, it was like 37%. Okay, and this happened over a 5-year period, I think, if I remember correctly. If Sandra want to text me and correct me, or call in and text me, but I think she's doing an awesome job. And I'm saying that to encourage other people
to get involved.
You know, just find a school, get involved. She takes them out on trips to Washington, D.C., to different places and local places to see how businesses are run and what you can become. I want to say a big shout out to Julian's O'Neill also, who is now in Morehouse. Compliments of Miss Fatmi. He was homeless, and now he's doing good in Morehouse.
He's in college,
so
yeah.
we won't see the spark that started by people like Miss Fatmi and others, but we're asking and we're begging our young men. I don't know what the cost of a gun is, because if you're poor, I don't think you'll be able to afford a gun. But these crimes that are being committed, I'm asking them if they could cease and desist. It doesn't look good. It's causing a big problem. We know that there's a mental problem that has been started from slavery days. Know that in school that they're still brainwashing our kids to not be a father or not to get a better job. So it will take not just the family but the whole village to be involved with trying to correct this crime that's being committed on our race and also in our communities.
Right. So we just have a few more minutes, under 10 minutes. I'm not sure if Mr. Reed had anything else that he wanted to add.
Well,
Since we
I'll conclude by saying this, that we cannot allow ourselves to become frustrated, although the situation is frustrating.
I agree with you.
Because if we become frustrated and give up, what then? What happens to our people? So those of us who are in the fight just have to redouble our efforts, fight a little harder, and hope to join hands with a few other folks and increase the numbers as we go along.
Well said. And what about you?
Well, we have
Lance?
to show our youngsters their roles. We have to channel male aggression properly so it's advantageous for us. In America, black male aggression channeled correctly is not acceptable because you won't end up in a prison system that's going to help the oppressor. Our young sisters, we need to help them out also to understand that they're much more than just a receptacle. And I'll just say it
they
that
need
way.
to value themselves.
Unity, black unity kills white supremacy. The more we unify is the more we stop this system, and we need to come out of this system. My brother,
Well
can I give
said.
a shameless plug on my YouTube channel?
Sure, go ahead.
You can find me and my beautiful wife and my brother-in-law
It's required.
on YouTube and every other social media platform under the name LanceScurv. That's LanceScurv, V as in Victor. LanceScurv.com, LanceScurv on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, the site, the app, everything LanceScurv. Check me out.
I'm not so prolific, but you can find me at darebooks.com.
Yes.
A lot more simpler, right?
And also, if they're local, they can visit the bookstore at
245 North, U.S. Highway 1792 in Longwood, Florida. And the number is 407-673-3273.
Okay. And then
Make the call.
I wanna ask each of our guests for one final thought. We have about 5 minutes left.
I think they just did that.
I got 10 final thoughts if you want
it. I didn't have my headset on. I was sounding. But we still have some more time to not kill, but to be productive. So let's see what we can. I know you guys have things to say.
You ready? Okay. Listen, brothers, show how bad you really are. And I don't mean bad in a bad sense. I mean bad in a good sense. Show how strong you are by taking the oppressor's sword and chopping his head off with it. This is not a call for violence. I'm saying that all the things that are against us, you must know that we are the strongest on the planet. You don't have to take steroids to be strong. You don't have to go through a law enforcement academy to be strong. You don't have to go to the armed forces to be strong. You don't have to do anything. Understand that they took everything from us and bamboozled us to think that we need them. Turn to your other brothers and let's build a righteous force, organize to build our community back, which is against the law in this country when you really look at it. The devious things that are done, the frustrations that you feel, I feel and I've felt all my life. But I had parents that helped raise me and to make me know which way to go. That's why at almost 57 years old, I'm still speaking strong. I'm still on course. Yes, things will happen. Yes, sometimes you'll make a bad choice in a relationship. Yes, sometimes you'll feel down and drained, but learn how to the proper ways to eat. Don't eat the enemy's foods. Don't think the enemy's thoughts. The mind that you have is brilliant, you're creative, and it's very powerful. Don't let them take your mind away from their gadgets, from their smartphone, for the social media. Use it to your advantage, get the information, and see yourself in a different light. But that frustration you feel is a call to action, not against your own community, not against your own brothers, but to look inside and release the oppressor's grip from around your throat. And instantly, once you come together, you'll find heaven on earth. What we call the hood, what we embrace as the hood, understand that that one who created us didn't make any hoods. It's the same sun and rain and soil as it is in the so-called affluent part of town. But you're kept there because the jobs that they afford you keep you there financially. So you have to understand that the U.S. dollar is diminishing, but while it has some value to it, do something with it. Instead of cars and shiny things, see if you can get together with the brothers and purchase some land, or even go out in the country further away. These big cities are death traps. I'm going to tell it like it is. They're death traps, and they're setting us up. So we got to branch out, reach out to your brothers and sisters all over the world. Before, we used to have to lick a stamp or do a long-distance phone call and time it for 3 minutes. Now we can speak to people all over the world who look like us, and we've got to unify and see ourselves as citizens of the world and not just local citizens who are part of the American system. I have no problem with America, the land, but the system that rules over us, no. We've got to break that grip.
That's right. And Mr. Reed?
When all has been said, nothing needs to be said.
You're a powerful man, though. Shake your hand again, brother.
Okay, this was a great show. Thank you both so much. And again, give your YouTube channel, Lance.
LanceScurv. It's one word. Lance, the common spelling, L-A-N as in Nancy, C-E as in energy, S as in Sam, C as in cat, U as in union, R as in Robert, and V as in victory.
Okay, and Desmond, give your bookstore information.
It is Dare Books at 245 North, U.S. Highway 17-92. That's almost at the corner of 434. The phone number is 407-673-3273. 3273
And
forgot
you're
my
also
phone number,
online.
at darebooks.com.
There you
Okay,
go.
great.
Let me just give
And
it
your
my phone number if it's okay. My email address is scurvmedia, SCURV media at gmail.com. And the cell is 407-590-0755. And yes, that is my personal cell. If you have a story to tell, reach out to me and we will get it out there online.
Okay, great. All right, and thank you all for joining us. Please join us next week, same time, same place, for another very interesting show. God bless you all. Have a great week.
Next week we're gonna be doing our regular show on the third Saturday, which is Human Trafficking Awareness, and on the fourth week
Oh,
of
it's the
the
third
month,
Saturday already.
I know,
Wow.
right? Yeah. And then after that, we will be doing next week will be the veteran show. We're on our veterans,
Okay.
and that will be with Miss Daly Espew Jones.
Yes.
And it's about time for Countryman. I'm trying
Yes,
to
7
fill the
o'clock.
air here, you know. Maybe we should wrap up some tickets now or something. You know. Listen, thank you so much for coming in,
Thank you.
Mr. Reed and Mr. Scurvy.
Thank you.
And I see this
Perfect.
lovely young lady, his wife is there. She didn't want a headset. She just want to be in the background, you know. But we know who rules. We know who rules, right?
And you know you are an angel.
All right, we'll talk
know
about
that,
it after the air. We'll talk about it after the air. Some things we keep quiet.
No, yeah, well, you know I'm going to keep...
Okay, good night.
Have a
Take
good
care.
night, everybody. Coming up next is